everybody, to a new edition of Let's Do Lunch. My name is Ned Sherman. I am a co-founder at Digital Media Wire and a partner of Manat Phelps and Phillips. We have a terrific show today. This is another segment in our series called The Rise of NFTs. And as you guys know, we've been doing this since about February of last year and monitoring as the business has continued to grow. Before I introduce our panelists, let me just ask all of you guys to introduce yourselves. You can go to the bottom chat, open it up. And when you go to the chat, please select from the drop down, instead of hosts and panelists, everyone. And that'll then your posts will go to everyone in the room here today. We love getting audience participation. You're welcome to post things in the chat. If you do have questions for the panel, please put them in the Q&A area, which is just to the left of the chat on the bottom nav. Okay, without further ado, let me introduce our guests. First, Halsey Miner. Halsey, welcome. Great to have you on the show here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep, Halsey is a founder of Vivid Labs. And let's have Robert Powers, head of growth strategy, Vivid Labs, join us. Robert, great to have you here.
Hey, Ned, thanks for having us.
Yep. And our moderator today is Seth Shapiro. Seth is managing partner. Seth, you're going to have to help me with
Digital Asset Advisors. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I see the DA2.
Yeah.
Are you going by DA2 or Digital Asset Advisors?
Sure. Yeah.
Right,
That's good.
Awesome. Have a great show, guys. All right.
Thanks, Ed. I can't believe we've been doing this for over a year. It's amazing. So I'm really happy to be here today with Halsey and Robert to unveil a really exciting new NFT platform that sort of speaks to the future of NFTs and where they're going. And with that, we'll dive right in. As Ned said, please enter your questions in the Q&A box, not the chat. I'll try and look at the chat as well. We'll probably go to questions around the bottom of the hour. But with that, let's get started. So Halsey, oh, hi, Ron. It's a pretty remarkable track record. CNET, Vignette, Google Voice, #2 investor at Salesforce. Even before Benioff was there, you were there. And then a founder of a cryptocurrency exchange, Uphold. Really amazing track record for being early and right. What was it that attracted you to the NFT space, and what did you see as the opportunity?
We definitely learned when we started looking at it. It definitely got more interesting. You know, I'm pretty much interested in everything. I mean, I started a Coinbase competitor in 2013 because I thought crypto and Bitcoin were interesting. So I started looking at NFTs, and particularly using video because we have a video platform. And when we looked at it, we have a very different take on NFTs from just about everybody else. But when we looked at it, and we looked at what we could do with the idea, I think we realized that this is as important almost conceptually as the website was, you know, back in 1994 when I was starting CNET.
Yeah, interesting. And Robert, as a former exec at Sony and Fox, when you're describing the media opportunity around Vivid Labs to media companies, how do you parse it?
So we kind of frame it as, I mean, we believe NFTs are essentially going to be kind of the next media format. You know, you can call it a next gen media format, an advanced format, but really it's something that allows a content creator to create content, market it, and also distribute it, all within kind of this container approach that we bring.
Very cool. One of the things that occurs to me, having been in a lot of NFT conversations over the last 2 years, is tends to be a lot of hand waving. And so I think we have a really great demo that Robert's going to share with us today. But that also reminds me back in Web 1, Ned, when a lot of us were saying how the browser was going to be transformative, it was actually CNET that was one of the first things that we could point to, Halsey. I remember talking about how the web, the browser and TCP would disrupt video. And there was a lot of, you know, hesitancy at Disney around that. And I remember when you started doing video product reviews, that was the thing that we pointed to. And then I think you did a number of TV shows even back then with CNET.
Yeah, we were in a very interesting company because we ended up, when I left, having about a $500 million a year internet business. But we started out on the internet and with 4 TV shows on USA and Sci-Fi, and 1 on CNBC. What was so interesting about the website was this ability to take all different forms of content and put them in the same media experience. So we were very early with video just because we had tech TV shows about technology that made sense on the web. We had lots of content, and that content came in lots of different forms, from graphics to video to animation to text. So we were sort of compositing for the first time, creating these websites. And it's kind of the exact same thing that we're doing now. People think about NFTs, they think about a single asset. They think about a GIF, think about a video. But our NFTs can take just about any file format. So you can put in video, you can put in audio, you can put in 3D files, you can put in JPEGs, you can put in GIFs, you can put in application files, you can put in PDFs, you can put in contracts, you can put, it really doesn't matter. And so you sort of blow the doors off of the concept of media today, which is, I think if you look at Twitter, you get some media, and Instagram, you get some media. But the ability to composite all of this creates not only enormous new use cases for how you format and sell video or music, but it also creates opportunities that are, completely new and novel. Like, for instance, a company is building on our platform. They handle wills and deeds, and what they want is for the documents, the will, to be signed, to be put on the blockchain. But they also want videos. They want videos that talk about the will, last testament, because they don't want anyone to be confused later on. They want messages to their loved ones so that they can talk to them after, So, I mean, this is like really, it's you got a little area where it's really kind of a transformative experience. And so what we've been really doing is trying to figure out, now that we've built this ability to hold a virtually infinite number of file formats in a 35 gigabyte container, all the various different use cases that it lends itself to, and like the website, there are a lot of them.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Robert, one of the things that occurs to me relative to this before you get into the demo is that unlike some of Halsey's previous companies, rather, there's a deep tech stack to begin with. So this NFT platform that you're going to show us has grown out of a very thick video infrastructure stack that's been developed over the last 4 years. I don't know if you're going to want to talk about that at all, but I guess with that, we can launch into your demo, and I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, sure. And maybe, I know no one came here for a PowerPoint, but maybe I'll just hit just one slide here, and then I can go into the actual demo.
Great.
So I just want to hit some of, I think what really makes this unique. I'm not going to go through all 6 of these. I'm going to go through the top 3 here. But again, what we're really focused on is this idea of the NFT as the next media format. What that means for us, first and foremost, is we see a lot of utility today with NFTs. You get, access to fantastic communities. In some cases, you get commercial rights. Maybe you get some type of in real life benefit. But in our opinion, the actual media experience itself of an NFT is not that compelling. If I own a Bored Ape, I am probably pretty proud of myself, but most people see the JPEG and they come away somewhat confused. And so what we're really focused on is, how can you retain all of those benefits of the NFT, but actually make that media experience more entertaining. Like you said, Seth, this is done on the top of tech that we've been building for 4 years. Essentially what we did is we built a decentralized media processing platform. And that really is what underlies some of these advanced features that we have. I'll quickly step through these. So first off, we create NFTs that are multi-format. As Halsey said, what this means is we can create NFTs out of obviously JPEGs, but audio, video, PDF, text files. We're even doing some early stuff with VR formats as well. A lot of companies can do this, but we do it in a much more robust way. So for example, if you think of some NFTs today, like a video NFT, that video might be about 20 seconds, or that NFT might be about 150 megabytes. We are creating NFTs today that are up to 32 gigabytes. We are doing 2-hour feature films. We're doing 4K. As I mentioned, we're doing some early VR formats as well. Second here, we're multi-asset. Today, when people think of NFTs, they think of one NFT equals one JPEG, or one NFT equals one video. We actually think of the NFT as like a container of media that you can put multiple different assets into all at the same time. So if you want to create an NFT that is 20 JPEGs, 5 videos, 3 audio clips, you can put all of that media essentially into one NFT. And then the final thing here is that our NFTs are updatable. So even after you mint the NFT, or even after you sell it the first time, or maybe you sell it again on a secondary marketplace, the content creator can continue to put new media into the NFT, so that the NFT kind of becomes this evolving dynamic experience. It's kind of like, think of it as like an open channel between the content creator and the person who holds the NFT. So this is kind of what we think about when we try to speculate on what NFT 1.5 or NFT 2.0 will be. We're really focused on how can you make that media experience of the NFT much more compelling, so that content creators can really look at the NFT and really kind of use the NFT towards their imagination, as opposed to being constrained to what NFTs, at least from a media experience, deliver today. Let me show you some of this stuff working. Just give me a second here.
And while you do that, the general default for this file size in an NFT could be anywhere from maybe 10 to 200 meg. I think OpenSea is something like 100 meg. And you're saying
multi-gigabytes. Yeah, I mean, you could easily do a feature film. You could probably do several feature films.
So this company is called Natural Selection Tour. They are like action sports plus media. So think of like the next X Games, or maybe something like a Red Bull. But what you'll see here is our platform. We don't create our own marketplace. We enable content creators or brands or content platforms to create their own marketplace. So think of us as like NFT capabilities as a service, or white label backend. As I flip through here, you're not going to see our branding. Obviously, Natural Selection Tour spent a lot of resources building up their brand experience here. What we do is we just kind of come into the backend. So you'll see up here at the top, for example, we have the NFTs here. And as I scroll down, you can see the NFTs that they had for sale. One thing that we do, we actually have an integration with Shopify. So if I click on one of these NFTs, you can see that we kick over to the Shopify implementation here. This essentially allowed Natural Selection Tour to build an NFT as if they were setting up any other consumer product in Shopify. And of course, you get all of the benefits of the Shopify e-commerce ecosystem, including payment rails. So you can pay with credit card, you can pay with PayPal. But what I really want to show you here is what we mean by a multimedia NFT, this kind of concept towards an NFT 2.0. We built a viewing gallery into the back end of the Natural Selection Tour website.
Always with that thing.
So, this is obviously skinned like a mountain chalet, because Natural Selection Tour, of course, But what we wanted to do was kind of create an experience that brought the natural selection tour customer into kind of the world of the NFT here. And so not only though is this, a great kind of presentation layer, but this is essentially a skin over what essentially is the crypto wallet here. We use a custodial approach, and you can see the NFTs that are in this wallet. So if I click on this NFT, this is a beautifully designed JPEG, but this is your very traditional way of thinking about an NFT. This is one NFT equals one JPEG. Let me show you the multimedia NFT. So the first thing you'll notice here is up here at the top, there are 19 media assets in this NFT. And this first one you're looking at is a JPEG, but as I flip through the carousel here, you can see some of the other media that they put into this NFT. Like, for example, they wanted to do a photogrammetry 3D object of the course that this event was held on. They even did some stuff with playing around with animation. But what's really unique about this NFT is that the rest of the 13 assets here are all video. What Natural Selection Tour wanted to do was create a video for each of the checkpoints on the course so that whoever held the NFT could get a sense of what the snowboarders were going down at this particular venue. And so this NFT with these 13 videos, the 3D objects, the JPEG, this NFT is almost 2.5 gigabytes. So it's quite larger than most of the NFTs you see on the market today. There's one more I want to show you here.
And if you think about that form factor as a commemorative, for example, of a sports experience, I mean, having a video at every hole, every spot along that course, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This one here is 1.5 gigabytes. And as you can see, what they've done is they've essentially distributed an 8.5-minute documentary through the NFT. This is a documentary on the venue here.
And by the way, Robert, the video looks the way it does because it's on Zoom. Just so people understand.
Yeah, normally it would be. That's a really good point, Halsey. Normally it would be completely seamless, high-res video. It's a little slow because we're all sitting here on Zoom.
Yeah, we're using Zoom.
Right.
So again, what we're really focused on, Seth, is retain all of those benefits and the creativity of how people think about NFTs today, but how can you actually make that media experience much more compelling for content creators, for content platforms, for brands? We really see this as kind of a new approach to how to think about what you can do with an NFT.
And one of the areas that I think, honestly, I think one of the most exciting opportunities in 2022 applies to music. So you have a whole nother product type that you can issue. You have the song, you can have the video, you can have video from the recording session, you can put art in there, you can put in tour footage, and then you can continue to push content out to the holder. So when you go on tour, you send your tour calendar out, right? So it's not even that you've created this new kind of mega format for content, but you've also created a two-way relationship between your media consumer, and that works whether you're a recording act or whether you're doing Fast and Furious 1 and you want to maintain a relationship until Fast and Furious 2 comes out all the way through 13. So this this ability to put all this different kind of content. I mean, natural selection's great, but they just scratch the surface of what's possible using our platform. But then it's the updatable part. And I think that's why, I mean, I look at what we're doing and it sounds probably a little too much hype, but I think that what we're doing is as important as what Salesforce was doing. They created an entirely new way for people to sell and products and manage Salesforce, whatever. We're creating an entirely new way for people to market and maintain customer relationships. And that's just because this new format that, with the website on one side, which is a bunch of stuff, and on the other side, we have, small bits of content at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But now we've got this enormous amount of content that we can put together, and we can attach it to both digital items like songs or movies, but we can attach it to real world products. So if I buy a very expensive purse from Hermes and spend $15,000 to buy something that looks like a $750 Chinese ripoff, I can get a NFT that has proof of purchase, that has how my bag was made. It has the story of Hermes. It has other information they may want to push to me over time. So I think people right now, when they look at NFTs, is it's this one single asset. It's a lot of people just don't get it, I think you have to be into the art genre to get it, but we're transforming that into a whole new product type. Everybody remembers the best days in the movie business were when you could show the movie and you could sell the CD or DVD afterwards. I think we're creating something like that for music and for other media products, where this becomes another way for you to consume a song that has a whole bunch of other content, and you're remonetizing again the content that we basically have already created.
Yeah, I think one of the really interesting things for us here is, in some ways, this brings back the concept of media ownership that obviously went away with streaming. And if you think about these multi-asset, multimedia NFTs, your first piece of media could be the film. And behind it, you could put all kinds of experiences, very similar to the days of like the DVD extras and things like that.
Yeah, we were having a conversation yesterday talking about a fine art collection. And you two were both talking about different ways in which we could do videos of the painter at work, creating the painting, and doing videos talking about the original inspiration of the painting, and sort of an unlimited catalog of assets around what would normally just be a JPEG of a painting. Super interesting. I remember and we'll go to questions in a second, so please enter your questions in the Q&A. I remember, I think in 2008, working with Universal, when Blu-ray had come out, there was a format called BD Live, and Neil Young, as it turns out, is a big pack rat, and he had all these assets. So I guess somebody out there might be a Neil Young fan and know, but I guess he did a DVD or a Blu-ray of all these assets, like all these tickets and extras and songs and recordings, and he wanted for it to be updatable over time. And I remember talking to you guys like a month ago, wow, you could do that now. Any artist could do that. You can have, to Halsey's point, an ongoing relationship with your fans through the NFT form factor. Really cool.
Yeah, think about think if, for example, you released a music album as an NFT. Not only can you put the JPEG for album art or different MP3 files for the audio tracks, maybe you also add videos for the music videos. But that doesn't have to be the end of the experience. You can sell that NFT, and then when the band goes on the road, perhaps they continue to update that NFT with new videos from behind the scenes, or in the tour bus, or backstage at the concert. Maybe they update that NFT with the particular way they played the song in New York as opposed to Austin. And so that, the NFT, I think you said it, Seth, it kind of becomes this commemorative object of a creative endeavor that you can update over time. Maybe you continue to update it as we get into like Grammy season. Maybe at the 10-year commemorative of that album, you release additional content into that NFT. So, I think, for us, what we're really focused on is like, how can you make the playground bigger and let artists come in and really explore what can be done with these types of features.
That's super exciting. Robert, for folks that are new to this space, maybe if you could talk about a little bit about provenance and sort of those advantages of traditional NFTs, all of which would also be true of this new form factor of updatable, expandable NFTs.
Yeah, look, I think, and even with this series, people come on and they give kind of their best effort at describing why NFT. I guess I'll kind of do mine here. I think if you just kind of step back from the terms non and fungible and token, what really kind of resonates with me is this idea of if you believe the world is going digital and it won't be stopped, which I think is a pretty easy argument, right? Every piece of media now is either created digitally or at least distributed digitally for the most part. If you believe that this is the world we're going to continue to live in, the NFT and blockchain is really one of the first technologies where you can actually establish ownership and provenance. And so, if you think about, in my opinion, one of the most creative industries of the past 2 decades has been memes. The memes that we've seen over the past 20 years, those creative sparks and how they've grown to being very kind of cultural signifiers. Had NFTs or blockchain come out 20 years ago, we could pinpoint, who had that initial spark of an idea. We could pinpoint how a very creative person added on to that meme. We could follow that chain across this very creative endeavor because of these things like provenance. And so when I begin to think of things like that and understanding that this is what NFT and blockchain enable, I think it becomes very compelling as to what we can do with these things.
Yeah, really exciting. So let's go to our first question. There are too many, from Darren, there are too many wallets and they are not super easy to set up, true, and fund, so that non-techie consumers are frustrated by trying to participate in the NFT space. It is awesome to be able to use Shopify to purchase an NFT, but how does ownership proof exist on which blockchain, and how does the owner display their NFT? Good question.
Yeah, so maybe I can answer part of it, and Robert can answer part of it. So we have a custodial wallet, which makes it much easier for buyers. They don't have to, or normal kind of consumers, to be able to buy NFTs. That runs, all of this runs on our great blockchain called VID. And we are right now working on ways that the assets that we have that are running on our blockchain, where you have the ability to move those onto other blockchains. So for instance, moving them onto Polygon and being able to sell on markets like OpenSea. Now, OpenSea is kind of problematic because they really only let you have one asset. So the system that we're building and putting in place will allow you to go from our blockchain to Polygon, which means you can designate an asset. It'll show up on OpenSea. You can sell on OpenSea, and there's a link back to all the other content that's on our blockchain. And so it's, we say what we're doing is NFT 2.0, and this is our way to bring the next generation of NFTs even to those marketplaces that are really sort of NFT 1.0, and that's kind of everybody, pretty much. So the custodial wallet makes it very easier. It gets more complicated, obviously, as you start to move content off of our blockchain and onto other blockchains. There's kind of a hierarchy, I think, of way things are going to go. I think natural, I think there are going to be big secondary marketplaces, and there are going to be big primary marketplaces. And so, one can imagine a record label having all of their music, all of the artists they have, or somebody else doing it, and having these amazing NFTs that you can buy. And because everybody who's coming to that website is a music lover, there'll be lots of NFTs that people are interested in buying. Now, some of those may be interesting enough that they can move them to another marketplace like OpenSea or one of these other ones, where not everybody is a music lover, but people are perfectly aware of who the artist is. So we have a lot of people who are building marketplaces for their community, and that community can be the community of music lovers. And then there are certain assets that they want to be able to move into other, larger aggregated marketplaces like OpenSea. So we really offer the best of both worlds: the simplicity of creating your own marketplace, creating your own community, but also the ability for people to ultimately, it's more complex, but to be able to go and get a wallet and be able to sell on some of these larger secondary marketplaces.
Thanks, Halsey. And then in time, it's anticipated that for the gearheads out there, first of all, you can do this now in ETH, if that's a frequent question. But then in time, not just Polygon, but any other layer 2 will potentially be interoperable via bridges, and you'll be able to, I guess, use Solana or Phantom or AVAX or any other chain, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's yes, yeah. I mean, we're basically compatible with Ethereum compatible blockchains right now. So we just want to make sure that the experience is great, so that when you go to OpenSea and you see the asset, when you kind of point back to our blockchain. So our blockchain is really the full multimedia blockchain, and it plays an incredibly important role, even when we're connecting to Polygon and Palm and some of these other blockchains, because most of the assets are sitting off of are still on our blockchain.
Yeah.
But I think we found a very clever way to give everybody what they want.
Yeah, perfect, awesome. Let's go to Randy. Good conversation. How do you address rights ownership with music products, i.e. publishing, mechanicals, etc.? Good question.
Do you want to
Yeah,
take
look,
that?
I think the answer to this question is different once we kind of move past this transition stage. Obviously, we're in kind of this in-between space in terms of where publishing rights currently exist and where ultimately they might exist. I mean, I think the easy answer here is obviously a lot of people put heft behind this whole idea of the creator economy, with NFTs and this idea that ultimately artists can self-publish through NFTs. And for some artists, that will be what they choose to do. But there's also ways for even some of the traditional players to take advantage of the NFT space as well, either with artists that they bring on or even publishing rights that they already have. And so, I think we're largely kind of agnostic to this as we kind of go through this transition point.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you. This is another interesting one from Ron. This is starting to sound like an interesting digital membership opportunity. As the number of assets increase in a particular NFT bag or container, are there any prospects of allowing owners to sell single assets from within that NFT?
That's a really interesting question. I would say, so we allow you, if you have access to the NFT, we allow you to be able to share the content. It can be set so that I can send you a whole bunch of content, and then you can go share that content out. You're still the owner, but you still can share the content out. So if you wanted to go ahead and charge somebody, It's a very interesting question. Because there are a lot of complexities with this that we're dealing with, right? So when somebody gets an NFT that has all of these different forms of media, do they want to be able to also share that out on their social channels? And we think we do, and that's kind of part of the way we've been building the product. I think it's a very interesting idea. What would you do if you started pulling it apart and selling off the pieces? I don't think we're at the point right now where that's becoming a big issue. I think we're just right now trying to get people to understand the concept of having a new format that allows for multiple forms of media and digital assets. But we have not as yet built that, but it's one of those things where I can definitely see someday that's going to have to happen.
Yeah, I think the concept of digital membership is a really good one in terms of kind of what your day-to-day experience interacting with an NFT might be. In my mind, there is one critical difference, which is when you subscribe to something, you pay your $10.99 a month. You're getting access to a content experience, whether it's Netflix or maybe Patreon or whatever. When you stop paying that subscription fee, you obviously lose access to the content. I think in the old world, this seemed perfectly fair. But what's really interesting about what NFTs are doing is it kind of thwarts that idea. So not only now with something like an NFT can you essentially pay in to have that content experience, but if you do want to move on from that content experience, you have a digital asset that you could then sell to someone else. And so this kind of changes how we think about I would pay whatever $18.99 to go see a 2-hour movie. I would come out of that movie in the old days, mostly pretty pleased with it. But that was the extent of my kind of relationship with consuming it. And now this is a new paradigm. So it's certainly digital membership, but you come away with it with something that you can also derive value from.
Yeah, I mean, because you can push content, you can always push tickets to people. So an NFT can be membership. It's a very good way, actually, of sort of thinking about a use case around NFTs, which is the ability to provide content that provides access, like QR codes, for instance, that you can push through.
It's a great question, and this is one of the areas where this idea sounds novel at first, but then the more you think about it, the deeper and deeper it is. Because I mean, you lived through this too, Halsey, which was the transformation from TV, for example, as an advertising-based business to a subscription-based business, and all the massive economic changes that this brought out. As you guys are talking, I'm thinking, so you actually you don't subscribe. He's right. You get some of the benefits of subscription, but you still only pay once. And then you're accruing these assets. Meanwhile, you've never necessarily paid again. And then you have the ability to sell everything that you've accrued thus far, which certainly doesn't exist in any of the streaming services or any of the DRM-based services. So it really does start to feel like a completely new model. It's really cool.
I mean, one of the points that Robert made about sort of everything is digital, as you start thinking about movies, and the fact that we have so many of these digital assets, and we now have the metaverse, the ability to, again, monetize all of these assets that are created in the production of something like a movie that can be sold alongside. And it's just, it's weird because it's, Twitter succeeded by having a very small number of characters. I mean, it's kind of a real reason for succeeding. But I think we succeed because we're kind of the only thing that lets you put all this content together into something and have ownership of it and to be able to pass it along. And then also have kind of a social part, which is where there's the ability to push content. So I think we're not like, what is it, 142 characters. We're not a certain number of characters, but I think we've constructed an NFT that is its own new kind of thing. And then the people can get their heads around, and then they can start thinking about, like, how do I use this new thing where I have a bunch of content, I can share it to people, and I can continue to communicate with them and continue to push content over time.
Cool. Robert, one of the really frequent questions is given the depth of the fact that there's a Shopify option, which is really rare in the NFT world, and the fact that you do credit cards or you can do a traditional crypto payment, how sort of ease of use, or if somebody wants to work with Vivid Labs, how do they do it? And it's actually a pretty simple engine. I know you probably don't want to run another demo, but maybe you could kind of describe a little bit about the process before we wrap up.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what we design is intended to abstract some of the whole crypto and blockchain side of this. I think, as we're interested in really understanding how NFTs can address, what we might consider to be kind of traditional media, we think some level of abstraction is beneficial. And so that's why, we designed, or that's why we worked with Shopify to essentially build an app that exists within the Shopify App Store that any, Shopify merchant can essentially download and enable themselves with NFT capabilities. We also have another pathway, which is kind of the non-Shopify route, which is essentially an enterprise platform. So think of it as somewhat of like it's essentially a hosted solution. You work with us, we give you a login, you have access to our platform to build your own NFTs. With this pathway, you can go as abstract or not. Obviously, some of the customers that we're working with really want to lean into the crypto side of this, and so we certainly enable that as well. But it's a pretty we can flip the levers that need to be flipped in order to build these engagements that are best for your audience, whether you're a content creator, a content platform, or a brand.
So we have a incredible creator tool that we're working on. It's I can't say exactly what it is, but would love to have some creators who are interested in the area of NFTs, possibly to work with us in the sort of development of this, which is going to come out in the next couple of months. But we're really trying to engage creators to make sure that what we're building is it provides all the tools that the creators need, individual creators or companies, to be able to create these really, really compelling experiences. And people can email me at halsey@liveplanet.net. I'll put my name in the chat line.
Great. Yeah. So there is an app. It is in, I guess we'd call it beta.
Well, we didn't even say it was an app, but yeah, we've been working on something for 9 months that we think is pretty extraordinary, and we think it's going to really change the whole content business. So we're looking to work with creatives to make sure that it's every bit as good as we think it is.
Awesome. So if they're interested, do you want them to email you personally, or is there another?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Wrapping this up, Robert, there's a bunch of questions. We were just texting about this. Digital Media Wire does not offer financial advice. This is not about investments. It's about technology. But if you do want to say a few words about those questions, why don't you have at it, and then we'll call it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we are our own native blockchain. We're a proof of stake chain, which for those of you who are a little bit deeper into this, that a proof of stake methodology is one of hopefully the solutions to begin to kind of address some of the environmental and energy concerns around NFTs. But we are our own chain. We essentially work off of what's called the VID token. It's a very typical kind of proof of stake model. And so that's really the mechanism by which we're able to engage this decentralized media processing platform that kind of underlies all of these use cases that we're able to put through. If you're interested in more about this kind of stuff, then feel free to join our Discord or reach out to Halsey or myself, and we can obviously talk more about these kind of things as well.
Great. Do you want to plug plug Twitter or anything else in addition to Discord, or is Discord the go-to?
Yeah, the Discord, we've got a great community there. People will answer all of your questions. Feel free to come interact with us. We're obviously hoping to grow it more and more as we begin to really kind of lay out these platforms.
Okay, great. To answer Mark Williams' question, yes, it is Halsey, Halsey.
Yeah.
Do you have any reaction? We have maybe one more minute, Halsey, to Don M. I'm interested in learning more about what Halsey just talked about. I won an ASCAP award for orchestrating music and went to Berkeley. Was there something there that you referred to?
No, look, anybody who has ideas for how they want to start, composing digital content, using this new mechanism, we want to work with. And so, I just kind of pointed this out because, we have a Shopify app, we have this other app that's, very easy to get set up and sell lots of NFTs, but there's a hole in the market, massive hole in the market for something that just anybody can create, an amazing NFT. And we're in the process of filling that hole too. So that, even if you're a small band, you can, put together a lot of content and push it out and, and start building an audience around your content. So we're looking for creators right now to start working with, around our tools that don't require you to go set up a website in order to create sell your content.
Awesome. So if you are interested in, thanks for putting that in there. So Robert's put in the Discord link in the chat. And if you are interested in working with us, working with Vivid Labs, please reach out. And with that, I think we're going to wrap up. We're slightly over time, but thank you so much, Halsey. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Great presentation. And
We appreciate the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.